Can you see it?
Yep, see it. And it's on the live. And make sure the live is turned off over here. Okay. And I have some things for the altar. Say hi to Jazz, y'all. Jazz up there.
Hey. Hey, y'all.
I grabbed these real quick for the altar. You gotta talk in the mic.
Yizzo,
Hey.
what's up with the students? You still with them?
Oh, graduation ended at like 1. I took some pictures with some of my girls that graduated, gave them some flowers, and then now they're all taking pictures with their family. And then we have a cookout at the president's house. So after this, I'm gonna go do that.
The cookout? Is everybody invited to the cookout?
All the faculty and staff are invited to the president's house after every graduation she live on campus. So
Okay. All right. No doubt. No doubt.
yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. Lincoln. Yeah. Boom, boom. You got any connection with Lincoln? Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Making some music with that right there, man. Sean, what you got over there?
The ukulele.
What is it called?
Ukulele.
Ukulele. I need some culture. I'm like, yo, that joint small like a banjo. I'm like, I know it ain't a banjo though.
It's close, same family kind of. Yeah.
No doubt. Like, I've been making some good music with that.
Uh, Ish and Akemba, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, did y'all see the big notepad? Hey, Leia. I like your outfit.
Big notepad.
That big notepad. Did you
No.
see that? Did y'all see that?
There's a big notepad together. Oh, you talking about that right there? Yeah, we got the notepad.
Okay, it got the 4 questions pasted on the each page, so they're already there. So you just have to take them off and it looks like you already put them up. Oh, okay, great. Okay. I was just checking on that part.
What did you spoke with Jack? You spoke with Jack. What's your the questions I sent you? Those questions are for the group.
Oh yeah, for Joe, I guess.
The questions I sent you,
Yeah.
those were specific to you.
Oh, okay. I'm glad that we're talking right now, bro.
Hey, you wanna go say hi?
I was thinking that these right here, they were going to read this, I guess, in the page.
Hey, James says hi.
Yeah, yeah. just them engaging because I was thinking,
You need something, Jasmine?
I was saying James said hi.
What'd you say?
I was just saying James said hi.
Oh, hey, James.
Hey, how you doing?
Hopefully. Now, don't forget, everybody sees what you got.
Yeah, I just wanted to look real quick, and then I went back. Sorry.
Hi. Peace, y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Welcome to Church of the Revolution, everybody. We're still in our move and music, and I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Eric Delaney, grooving us out in the back. My name is Alea Johnson. I'm one of the organizers here. Feel free to come in, settle in. We'll get started with our programming at around like 2:30. Feel free to vibe, talk to your neighbor, do what you gotta do. Before we get started, feel free to pop around the room, see some of the things we'll be diving into. When you do get a chance, please make sure that you guys check in. There's a QR code on the program in the back that'll let you know what we're doing today, and it also gives you a place to sign in if you didn't get a chance to sign in physically at the table over there. But we'll chat with you guys in a bit.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Welcome to the Church of the Revolution. I said, welcome to the Church of the Revolution. Listen, I know it's Sunday, but it's the afternoon. We got our morning sleepies in already. All right, we are getting into the groove of things today. My name is Alea Johnson. I'm one of the organizers here. I'm super excited to be helping you guys as we flow throughout the service today. We are going to get started with our welcome and grounding in just a beat. I'm going to try to move this slide along if I can. Maybe I can't. Oh, Jazz, can I ask you a favor? I want to welcome folks in by going over the principle that we will be grounding in today. Here at the Church of the Revolution, we are, all about embodying our principles of freedom. And so the freedom principle that we are grounding in today is that spirit guides our freedom. Ancestral wisdom flows through our ceremonies, traditions, and initiative and intuitive knowing. We honor the sacred in all paths, reclaiming and sharing our indigenous and ancestral ways of connecting with spirit. Through spiritual practice, we embark with certainty, remember our wholeness, and live magically. I just wanted to, iterate that and, have that in our minds as we're getting into this space. We are going to just shortly have our grounding with one of our members, but if we could just take a moment to reflect and think about the ways that spirit really truly does guide our freedoms, and ways that even today, as we are showing up into this space, into this place, and doing this ritual with each other of embodying freedom together, how we are reconnecting with some of those roots. Alrighty, and with that, I will pass our welcome and grounding over to Indigo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank y'all for being here and joining us for our 1-year anniversary of the Church of the Revolution services. I just wanted to first give a little, information about our altar here. So we've been trying to include an altar activation at the beginning of our services, just as a spiritual grounding and also as an homage to our collective and shared spiritual practices. So in the future and for the next upcoming services, we just ask folks if they want to bring an offering, whether that be something permanent, something to leave, or something to take home, but just in the spirit of building our spiritual practices together and creating an altar together. So that's what we have here today. And I'm going to do just a small activation and grounding and libations to set us in spirit for today's service. So this is, again, to connect with the collective spirit of resistance and the revolutionary continuity of our various spiritual practices. So we are here today, thank you. We are here today to remember clearly and not to mythologize, not to escape, but to witness the courage and struggles of those who have come before us and to honor them in grounded spiritual practice. We remember that memory is not lost, and it lives in story, in struggle, and even in silence. So we call forward to the ancestors, those who have resisted, those who fought genocide and enslavement, those who organized in secret, those who spoke when it cost them everything, those who shaped the ground that we stand on today. And we carry forth not just their fire and their passion, but also their unfinished questions and work. So now I will lead us in our libations. You can close your eyes if you would like. You can also, feel free to make whatever posture, gesture that feels appropriate and grounded in your spiritual practice. I call on the benevolent guides, protectors, healers, and forebearers. I honor you and welcome you into this space. I honor the ancestors who brought our existence into being. I honor the ancestors whose names were stolen, whose stories were buried, whose wisdom lives in our bones. I honor those who walked before me in resilience and in prayer, who survived so that I might stand, breathe, and remember. May your strength steady our hands and your courage anchor our hearts. Now I invite you all to call the ancestors who have taught, guided, protected, healed, resisted, created, and survived. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Malcolm X, Thomas Sankara.
Ashe. Ashe.
Beak, Fred Hampton,
And to all those whose names we do not know, we extend reverence to those lost to violence, exile, or forgotten through time. Ashe.
okay.
I think that is all. Thank you all so much. Hold my glasses.
Thank you so much, everybody, for grounding with us as we get into this spiritual practice. We are a little bit early, but I don't mind having that time because I don't know if you've taken a peek at some of these questions around these walls. I have a feeling that we're going to need it later. So at this point in time, we're going to move from our welcome and grounding into the time where we like to greet our neighbors. So if folks could get up, say hello, get your shakes in, move your body, find somebody that you haven't met, and just start having a conversation. You'll be chatting with them later anyhow.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you, everybody, for taking some time to welcome your neighbor. Fine. Oh, I can project a little bit. Does that help? Thank you, everybody. If you guys could find the ends of your conversation, find your way back to your seat, or maybe a new seat because you had a friend you meet. You just gotta keep yapping. It's so wonderful to feel the warmth that is generated from us taking time to really connect. And I think I can turn this up a bit. It is so wonderful to actually be heard. Can you guys hear me better now? Is that better? Yeah? Okay. It's so wonderful to feel the warmth that is generated when we take time to connect with each other in this space. I feel warmer, which is helpful. This is a sundress, and I'm not quite at sundress season yet. Welcome everybody again to the Church of the Revolution. Here we are, having our May service. It's our 1-year anniversary. We will be chatting about Malcolm X today and grounding in our principle all about spirit guiding our freedom. And one of the ways that we can really practice embodying liberation is through the ways that we create and that we express. So we always have an artist presentation as part of our services here at Church of the Revolution. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our artist for this month, Yane.
Hey, I'm excited. Y'all are so cool. So I chose 2 songs, and the first I'm going to do kind of a cappella, and then the second one is one of the 2 new songs that I'm about to be releasing. So I really like these songs, and I chose them because they align with the principle, spirit guides our freedom. And so also like the flow is like a really core, part of my understanding of life and being. It's flowing and what we flow. And so that to me is like spirit, and so that's what these songs are about. In the spirit of flow, please, if you feel in energy, if you had, please, flow it, let me see it, Sometimes people will feel like it's respectful to be still, but that's, I enjoy the exchange, So this first one is called Virus. I'm here to love you. It's why I was made to be the love you crave. What's been missing ain't your fault. And now I'm here to infect your heart. I'm contagious. Join up. Let's spread love. I'm a love virus. I'm a love virus. Infectious, cascading love. I'm a love virus. I'm a love virus. Look at your heart. Love filled every part. I'm here to love you, and I do indeed. And I'll bring the love you need. Yesterday don't matter. The only time is now. We can heal the world. Let me show you how. I'm contagious. Join up. Let's spread love. I'm a love virus. I'm a love virus. Infectious, cascading love. Oh, a love virus. I'm a love virus. Look at your heart. Love filled every part. Love, 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 filled every part. Sing it with me, sing love, 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 filled every part. I'm here to love you, and I do indeed, and I will bring the love you need, 'cause yesterday don't matter. The only time is now. We can heal the world. Let me show you how. Be contagious. Join up. Let's spread love. I'm a love virus. I'm a love virus. Infectious, cascading love. A love virus. I'm a love virus. Look at your heart. Oh, love, 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 love fills every Okay. So this next song is called The Doo-Doo. I invite you to experience this song as your own voice. You know, consider it, if it resonates. Thanks. So we're gonna try this playing this track. So you ready, Jazz?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
You can do
Do it. You in God mode, gotta tell the truth.
here to tell it.
On that dope flow, growing through the roof.
Here to tell it. You can do it.
Do it. You won't go. You live in proof.
Here to tell it.
Here to show what a God can do.
Here to tell it.
I heard me talking to me. I hear elevated me, telling me to stand inside the greatness I can't help but be. I'm running on my programs that I built to honor me. Move me forward in my purpose as I move along these streets I own and flow love through like I am them and they are you and we are one and we are love and we are all, cause what else could it be? Do it. Do it. You ain't got more, gotta tell the truth. On that dope flow, flowing through the roof. Do it. You won't go, you live in proof. Here to show what a God can do. I am so glorious, like all those leaves on all those trees, all those flowers smelling up the air, calling all those bees, birds, butterflies, dragonflies that swirl inside the breeze, like the sun that warms, brightens up the day, like the seas that flow into the river, like the power that flows into me, always talking to me, saying you're a God, you're just like me. On a move, and you smooth, you're the sky. You unfurl is the beat. It's your world, these your dreams. On a move, sweet and hard, and you're smooth. You're a God. You unfold is a base. It's your world, and these your streets. You can. God mode, gotta tell the truth. On that dope flow, rolling through the room. Do it. Look at you, you're doing it. You won't go, it'll live and prove. Here to show what a God can do. Hey, on a move, leading hard, and you're smooth. You're a God. You unfold is a beast. It's your world, and these your streets. Thank y'all for the energy. Appreciate y'all. All right.
Now, didn't she do that? You did it. Thank you so much. Sorry. This is the hard thing about emceeing, because I want to be like in the thing, but she really did that, and it's sitting with me. That's beautiful. We can do it. Our next piece of the service is going to be moving through the theme for today, which is what Malcolm said, right? I said that correctly? Or what we learned through Malcolm X. And to lead us through that, we have two folks that'll be chatting with us and taking us through and then leading us through some group discussion. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass this over to my comrade, Ikemba. Can we give him a hand, folks?
Peace, peace. What's happening, everyone? All right, all right. So I know we have a few regulars, so I'm gonna hit y'all with a Habari Zainu. Let me see who's been paying attention. Last time I was up here, Habari Zainu? So what you respond with is Nico Vizuri. All right, cool. And if y'all care, if y'all really care about me, after y'all say that, y'all would say Nawewe. So, well, Nico Vizuri is I'm good. Habari Zainu is how are you? How are all of you? So Habari Zainu. All right, we're gonna get it right this time, though. Habari Zainu. They don't care. You guys are good. You're good with the response, but I'm just saying, if y'all care about my feelings, how I'm doing, y'all gonna say Awewe, which means and you. There we go. All right. So this is gonna be the last time, so we don't split. Habari Zainu. Nico Vizuri. Safi Sana. Safi. That's clean. That means clean. So appreciate that exchange. And we're gonna have some more engagement later around Malcolm X with the notepads. But before we get into the activity, we're gonna have a brief discussion around Malcolm X. I'm gonna open up the floor to some questions for my comrade in arms, Ishmael, who has really blessed us, graced us today. I love this brother. I've known him for so many years, and I've met him through the word. And it seemed like the people who really, who have been inspired by Malcolm, we find a way to really connect with each other. It is like a brotherhood, sisterhood with people who have been inspired by Malcolm. And so this being the 101 years since the birth of Malcolm X, and here we are in the month of the birth of Malcolm X, I think it is important, significant that we have this discussion around Malcolm, what he stood for, who was Malcolm, and why is he still relevant today? And when we talk about spirit, just connecting it with spirit guiding our fight for liberation, spirituality, our spiritual systems, our religious systems, Malcolm was a Muslim. And part of his organizing his struggle against colonialism, against capitalism, and all the evils that come with that was getting the African community in particular to reject Western values, reject Western ways, and adopt assume a behavior that will liberate them from the yoke of imperialism, American imperialism. And he was doing that through the religion of Islam. So there was that, but there was a political aspect to what he was fighting for. Because colonialism, he knew that African people would not be able to to live freely, to practice their cultural values, the things that they believed in, to live righteous under colonialism, under capitalism, under oppression, continuing to be exploited in this system. So he had to fight against the system. He had to fight to liberate the people who were being to liberate our people who were being politically and economically oppressed, so that we can practice Islam. So there was two aspects to what he was fighting for, right? So there's the religious component and there was the secular component. But to understand Malcolm, you can't talk about Malcolm without understanding his belief in the religion of Islam. And I think that's what we're going to discuss today. And we want y'all to engage in that discussion. The last thing I wanted to say too, in regards to Malcolm, before we bring Ish up, I got some chairs. Is that, as a matter of fact, let's bring you up. Let's bring you up. I had a thought, but I lost my thought, so I'm gonna come back to that. Okay, all right. So we're gonna have this fireside discussion. I put together some questions. Are we switching the mics? Or are we using the same mic? All right, and before we like really get into this discussion, I think it is important to uplift what's going on around the world today. And you know what? What I was going to say actually came back to me. What I wanted to say, and I think this is important, Malcolm was assassinated in 1965. A few years later, the FBI files, the COINTELPRO was exposed in this country. And there was a concerted effort to stop the Black nationalist movement at that time. And one of the points on the program that the FBI set out to do was to stop the rise of a Black Messiah, which again like brings us back to this the spiritual and the religious aspect of what we're talking about today, right? Because they wanted to prevent someone from the Black community to rise up and electrify the African population in this country. And so I think that's important. And the fact that they said not just a Messiah, they said a Black Messiah, right? And I think that is also important as we gather here, and there are people here with different backgrounds, right? That come from different backgrounds. Just understanding that in this country, and that's why I appreciate people who can come from outside of the Black community and come and support the Black community, knowing that this particular country, America, it was built off of the enslavement, right, of African people, right? It was in the annexation, of course, of indigenous people land. But to understand, like, our oppression and exploitation is central to, like, the development of the American political and economic system. And so they wanted to prevent that. So when we look at like the outcome of the assassination of Malcolm X and so many other leaders, and where we are today, this prevention of whether we talk about in a analogous sense or if we're looking at it metaphorically, right? Because not everybody believe in the Messiah and so forth, but the point is that they wanted to stop someone from the Black community to be able to organize and electrify the people to overthrow this empire. Because at the end of the day, and we'll get into this discussion, America, the designers of America always wanted to eliminate this belief in a higher force, God, Allah, the creator, and so forth, because they want to represent that higher force. They want you, so they tell you, yeah, you could believe whatever you want to believe, but once you come outside of your home, we are God, right? So they always wanted to eliminate that, and they have done that within all communities, but particularly the Black community. But I just want us to just like look at Malcolm through that particular lens. So I'm gonna go to you. And
First off, bro, I just want to point out that the only reason they found out about the pro is because it was broken in the media. Were found. That's the only reason. It's not like, you know what I mean, it came up in the hearing or whatever. It had to be exposed. And then people put their freedom on the line to make that happen.
yeah, I mean, with that said, like, how many other things that have not been exposed? Because just because COINTELPRO was exposed doesn't mean that the program to stop the rise of a quote-unquote Black Messiah has stopped, right? So I know that you have been extremely influenced by Malcolm X, and I want you to kind of like take us through that journey, how you were introduced to Malcolm X and how Malcolm has played an important role in your development. And if there's, well, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, and you know, this is a very important moment in my life. But when I was a child, I was going to a majority white school in the surrounding suburbs up in this joint, and I used to have a stuttering problem. And one day I rose my hand to answer a question, and the class started laughing at me because I started stuttering. And then my teacher said, "Oh, don't laugh at him. His people talk like that." And I was in 4th grade, and mind you, my father is Dominican and Puerto Rican. I don't speak Spanish, though. I say Jimenez, y'all, just for folks know. And my mom's a Black woman from Liverpool, right? So, like, even at that point, I was already aware of racism. I already experienced racism, being called an M-word and a burnt French fry, which is a weird thing. Yeah, bro, I don't even want to talk about that. But when that happened in 4th grade, I went home and told my parents, right? Because my mother, being a Black woman growing up in Liverpool, she was the only Black girl on her block. So she talked about her experience on race and all that from a young child. I couldn't even tell you the first time she talked about it with me. You know what I mean? It was just always there. And so they got to school. The teacher apologized for saying that, but the librarian heard about it. Ironically, an older Jewish lady. If you know my story, you know how ironic that is right now. And she gave me her original copy of the autobiography of Malcolm X, frayed edges and all. And in 4th grade, I read that John with my mom's help. I read that John like twice in 4th grade, read it in 5th grade. By 5th grade, kids was calling me Ishmael X. I even had to have, and mind you, y'all, this is before the movie came out. I remember my 5th grade teacher telling me in class one day when we're waiting to be dismissed, "Ishmael, did you hear that they're coming out with a movie about Malcolm X?" And and I was like, "Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what they're going to focus on." And I was thinking like this in 5th grade, y'all. So at that point, ever since that point in that moment in my life, people point to those moments where you start to notice things and started to be aware. That was, I mean, like, I can't even point to that moment. It's always been there. That kind of like ulcer in your stomach is like, something's wrong with this nonsense. Like when we say support the troops and all that, I'll be like, you look kind of suspect, bro. And I felt that as a young age. And I got it all attributed to what I learned from Malcolm's learning. And see, that's what's so powerful about it, because through his own journey, through his reflections in the autobiography, that inspired me to, like, the next book I read was a biography on Susan B. Anthony. The next, you know what I mean? Like, I was just going to the library, reading everything I possibly can, and I started loving education and recognizing how school is socializing people into some nonsense. And so, like, I think by 7th grade, I was clear on that philosophy. So much so I got kicked out for behavior issues in 8th grade. But like, it made me recognize how easy it is to get lost in the sauce and how this system operates. And I've seen that with friends who have gotten lost in sauce, locked up, getting, false beliefs and all that. But like Malcolm helped it be clear from a young age that something's wrong with this, that you have to speak truth to power, regardless of what the consequence is. And it's a responsibility to carry on that kind of intellectual genealogy that Malcolm was a part of with his parents being Garveyites, but even deeper than that, what Garvey learned from, from other folks and what folks try to connect across the board. So for me, like, that is just the catalyst to who I am today, man. Like, I don't even know where I would be or what I would think without that experience in fourth grade. So, and reading Malcolm at that point.
Man, wow, no, that's deep. I appreciate you laying that out. I have so many questions based off of what you said. One thing that comes to mind, though, is this introduction to Malcolm X. It wasn't something that was in the curriculum, right? So can you kind of speak to that too? Like, how does Malcolm show up in the curriculum? And again, just going back to what I just stated in regards to Malcolm preventing the rise of a black messiah. So this was someone they wanted to eliminate from America, get him out the way completely, right? But at the same time, there is a part of Malcolm that they do give us. So go ahead.
I mean, we all been indoctrinated with the same idea. I mean, to be honest, Malcolm is the violent one that wanted, to pursue violence. Martin Luther King was Santa Claus who wanted nonviolence and kumbaya, everybody's all good. And they placed that false dichotomy to make us believe that something like Malcolm was too extreme, that his ideas was too radical, right? And also tie it to this idea that it's just violence, like some type of black people want to kill white people mentality. And even if you even read some of Malcolm's later speeches, he was very nuanced in his idea of what oppressor and oppressed means. Even making the argument, he's like, I don't give a damn what you think you are. If you're willing to align with me to go against this evil system, you're my friend, right? And I think that Malcolm made it very clear, and he was very honest. And one thing I think folks even forget about Malcolm X is that he grew up, and he even said this, in one of the most integrated communities in Lansing, Michigan. Like his family's house was burnt down because his father built it in a white part of town. See, they don't tell you those type of details, right? And then also he was at the top of his class. He was voted class president, like all these type of things. It was the very structure, though, that confined what that meant to who he is. So even for our own understanding about Malcolm or being inspired by his legacy becomes shut off for a lot of people from a base level where you don't even know what questions to ask because you haven't given the tools to understand what needs to be asked in the first. And it isn't just confined to Malcolm. And I love the fact that you brought up at the beginning about kind of the control of the God image, right? Number one, if you think he's a white man, and that's just some crazy stuff, they still putting it out there like that, as a known fact, right? But even on top of just race, when you even I think of Dr. Membrani's work at Yurugu, where Yurugu is the idea of an incomplete being. And in it, she says that seed, that germinated seed that basically said that God exists outside of yourself, that it's not a part of everything. And all indigenous cultures across the world recognize that everything is everything and God is in everything. But this idea, no, it's outside of yourself and I define what it is and you have to operate within my definition to be saved. That's where it becomes different. And I think that Malcolm definitely embraced that in the sense of Islam, but also understand the common rung of humanity. I'm sure he rejected, his father was a pastor. I'm sure partly rejecting Christianity because of whiteness, but one of the things that probably even attracted him to Islam is that you can't show an image of God. That's blasphemous, right? So just those ideas within itself lays at the very base level of how folks orient themselves. So if at the base level, we're taught that Malcolm X is some crazy, wild-eyed radical who wants violence and kill white people, you already cut off the means to have a real authentic conversation about his legacy and how it relates to the current predicament that we find ourselves in which he talked about back then. You know what I mean? So just talk about that.
Hey, I got like 100 questions, man, but I know we don't have enough time. So I'm going to fast forward through his life because, of course, we don't have time to go through the bio. But Malcolm, there's this split with the Nation of Islam. We want to call it a split, you know, got shoved out. But Malcolm, there's this split. He leaves the Nation of Islam, or he gets kicked out of the Nation of Islam. He travels to, he makes Hajj.
Yeah.
He goes to Mecca. Can you talk about the impact that this, and I know it's not just the Hajj, right? And so you can go anywhere you want with this question. Talk about the impact though of all of this, the split, him becoming Sunni Muslim, making Hajj, coming back to America, and he's going in a different direction. And I know it started, so go wherever you want to start at, go ahead.
Well, one thing people don't usually refer to when we talk about Malcolm traveling internationally, he did travel to continent Africa at the beginning of his time as the Nation of Islam. And at that time, after his trip, he was actually forbadden from going back to the continent of Africa by the nation. Now, I don't know what exact details, but this conversation of meeting other types of folks, believing in different things that deviated from what the nation was saying, probably had something to do with it. And if you want to learn more about this, I definitely suggest the book, The Dead Are Rising, one of the greatest kind of like books about Malcolm's life in the sense of actually looking at very much of all these details, even the intellectual genealogy which informed the Nation of Islam, which is a very interesting thing, you know. There's a spaceship right out here, y'all. Not to throw too much shade. But Malcolm's split became much more something that germinated as Malcolm kind of feeling uneasy about the nations in action. That how come these folks talk about, you know, what black people need to do in self-defense and everything, yet not be on the front line of what was happening in the South at that time, or on the front line of anti-black violence by police and by, you know, extrajudicial killings in California, right? He got in trouble for going out there and defending that member of the Nation of Islam. And that those type of figures started to kind of coalesce into people who were kind of in the background, who wanted to like get his role, get his leadership within the institution, a backstabbing and undercutting him, right? So when we see usually it's pointed to as Malcolm being kind of silenced by the NOI was when he said the chickens are coming home to roost after JFK got killed, right? And he was forbidden to say anything. All ministers, right, were forbidden to say anything. But that's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. That isn't just that one instance that caused the situation to begin with. So after that, Malcolm definitely was silenced. He stayed silent. He believed he would return to the nation. He had that sense of loyalty to like something that he helped build, because before Malcolm, the nation didn't have the numbers that the nation ended up having under Malcolm's leadership, right? And he truly believed, you know, he met his wife there, you know what I mean? He built his life around that. And then that final betrayal is to be like, no, you're not coming back. And then not only that, but you're a Judas against Elijah Muhammad. And that definitely, I can't speak to the man's, what he probably felt at that time, but that deep sense, and he writes about it in the autobiography. He's like, the one thing I did not expect was betrayal. You know what I mean? And that his loyalty would be used against him. So when we see Malcolm leave the Nation of Islam, he started to seek out and become like much more public voice, because he believed that was the role right then during that moment for the black struggle to move forward. And traveling to overseas and finally to his Hajj. And I always find that that's when I remember watching the movie when I was a child, the Malcolm X movie, and they focus so heavily on the Hajj and he also went to Africa. No, Malcolm spent most of his time after leaving the Nation of Islam in African countries trying to build alliances and representing Black America to the leaders, right? And that's why in the Dead or Rising book it's real interesting. He talks about even talking to Kwame Nkrumah, trying to convince him to sign on to his charges against the U.S. government to the UN, and Nkrumah kind of refusing to not, back him in that position with Ghana being at the forefront. So like all those type of things, Malcolm was negotiating with these leaders across the continent of Africa, and his Hajj trip was actually first rejected, and then he was allowed to go under folks who say, no, he's legit, he's really, really trying to pursue this, and then the Saudi government allowed him in to do that. And that's usually emphasized, and this goes to the other side of how Malcolm's legacy is sometimes oversimplified. He's a violent person that wants to kill all white people, that type of mentality in which we were indoctrinated with.
As if they all could be killed.
Come on. And then the other side where Malcolm became like this colorblind, like everything is all good type of situation with whites, right? Which is emphasized in the Malcolm X movie if you actually peep game with that underlying current and what he was talking about. But then becoming a Sunni Muslim and then actually recognizing that Islam can be a unifying force regardless of your race, right? And then can bring Black people into a certain level of consciousness and organization. Basically, from his experience with the Nation of Islam, he first formed the Muslim Mosque. And that was his first attempt to kind of bring these factions together underneath Islam, right? But he also recognized he needed a political organization, and that's where we have the OAAU, the Organization of Afro-American Unity, which was modeled off of what he learned when he was in Africa, the OAU, that Organization of African Unity. And so at that point, he's like, I don't care, if you're Christian, you're Muslim, that we need to unite under this political organization because this is the primary focus. So you see, mind you, he only lived, a year and a half after leaving the Nation of Islam or being kicked out? Not even. And so in that short amount of time, he was already building alliances, already going through the processes of thinking, how can liberation actually be possible for specifically Black people in America, but the liberation of people around the world. And you see that iteration first with the Muslim Mosque, but ultimately with the OAAU, where he actually got assassinated without the full program even being shared with everybody.
No, appreciate that answer. I'm going to pass it. We have someone else is going to join this discussion. I dropped the ball on this one. Jasmine is going to respond to this particular question, I believe, or if there's anything else you want to add on to any of the other questions I asked, go right ahead.
Hey y'all, what's up? I'm joining y'all from Lincoln University. We had our graduation today. So thanks for keeping me in the loop on Zoom. So I guess I'll just answer the part about when did I start to get involved with studying Malcolm. And I wish I would have started as early as ish. I really didn't get politicized until undergrad. I went to a predominantly white high school, predominantly white undergraduate institution, but thankfully we had a screening of the Malcolm X movie. And then we had a book club on campus where we were able to read a little bit more. And then that's something that really, really got me more politicized. The speech that he did right after leaving the NOI, the ballot or the bullet speech, is one of the speeches that I listen to continuously every year. It really reminds me of the purpose of the fight. The purpose is to achieve self-actualization and self-determination of Black people by any means. And in any frame of our life that we got to do that, that's what we need to be working at. And so from a spiritual perspective, his journey away from Nation of Islam, and really a journey even more inward into Islam itself after he left NOI, because he started seeing Islam as more of an internationalist framework. He started seeing diversity within Islam, and that's something that he was not really seeing before when in the walls of the NOI. I mean, you can see how he sort of framed his leaving of NOI as a rejection of rigid religious identity. When you're stuck in a box, in a religious identity box, you start asking, well, what are we supposed to do to uplift the religion, instead of the important question, what is the religion supposed to do for us? So he was able to ask that question more once he was free, once he left, right? And then he was able to, like Ish said, go and make more alliances, like when he traveled the African continent, and he was able to sort of broaden his own perspective and understanding of how he saw himself as a freedom fighter, outside of the walls of the NOI, but more so just as a Black nationalist. And what do we have to do to progress Black nationalism? So this just reminds me that religious rigidity, like rigid religious identity, is an extension of colonialism. No matter who's the face of it, it serves as an extension of colonialism unless, as he said in the Ballad of the Bullet speech, unless that religion is fueling Black nationalism and fueling self-actualization of Black people and self-determination of Black people. If it is not fueling that, it is our oppressor. So when we think about spirit guiding our freedom, we're supposed to be using all of these tools to push ourselves forward. We're not supposed to be boxing ourselves in and isolating ourselves from others that don't believe the same thing we believe in. We're supposed to be pushing all of us toward the same goal. So I really appreciated that perspective of his, and that's why that's one of my favorite speeches. So I just wanted to add a little bit to that.
Appreciate that. I'm always asking side questions. So we're talking. One intervention too. I wanted to make. You made a great point. Malcolm goes to in the film Malcolm X. They talk about Malcolm making Hajj, and there's not a lot of attention paid to him going to Africa, if any at all. Well, Egypt. I think they showed you got poison in Egypt, right? Like that was the highlight in the film. But Malcolm, he goes to Africa, he comes back to the United States, and then he goes back to Africa, right? So he's over there for the good amount of the time he broke from the Nation of Islam, he's overseas. There's a bunch of letters that he's writing, but the point I wanted to make up is he is organizing in Africa. They're setting up and in Europe, they're setting up OAU branches in Africa, in Europe, the Organization of Afro-American Unity. And he's at the first, and I think the second, but at least the first African summit, and he's putting the African-American problem on the table, and he's organizing, he wants to get them to adopt this resolution. And there is a compromise. So I want to say there is some pushback because people are playing politics, don't want to ruffle United States empire's feathers, but he's able to at least get them to talk about, yes, there is progress being made, but there needs to be more done. Basically, African leaders are recognizing the civil rights violations in the United States. So he does get them to adopt that. So I wanted to intervene with that. So Malcolm, I want us to kind of like make this connection again, like spirit guiding, you know, this fight for liberation. And you did speak about Muslim Mosque Incorporated in the OAU. Can you maybe elaborate some more too on how he's able to, I don't know if reconcile is the right word, but kind of like, I guess like reconcile this sort of like secular movement or fight for human rights, and at the same time organizing and looking at Islam as the answer for not just Black folks, but you know, if white folks was to adopt Islam, then maybe America.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So you want to speak to that?
Well, I think first, like, I believe Malcolm didn't look at it in those type of like this or that type of mentality. He definitely tied his own religious belief to struggle. I mean, in the nation, his whole belief was that was what was needed for Black liberation, right? When he leaves the nation, he's talking about Islam as a way not only for liberation across the world and against U.S. imperialism and colonialism, but also a tool here for Black folks to actually unify. And he did say something around if white folks converted to Islam, maybe America would be a better place. But I don't think he saw the contradiction between spirituality and Black liberation. I think those were intimately tied, and also the fight against oppression is part of that religious, or I won't even say religious, spiritual duty, that spiritual thrust, right? And I think Malcolm was very clear about that. I don't want to be a nerd. I keep on suggesting books. But if you want to learn, yes, listen. Malcolm X's, the book by James Cone, who was actually a theologian, called Malcolm, Martin, and America. In that, if you haven't read that book, it's so brilliant because he talks about how Malcolm's spiritual development from like informed how he even operated and even his commitment to the nation, religiously, he was in the nation, his commitment to Islam and his forthrightness, right? It's no coincidence like him learning in jail. And for folks who just seen the movie, it wasn't some guy who they show in the movie, it was actually his family that brought him into the Nation of Islam, who are actually followers of Nation of Islam while he was locked up, sending him stuff to read, trying to encourage him to join and everything like that. So that just shows you kind of like his own intellectual foundation of his parents being Garveyites, being raised like that, and he already had something of that in him. So when he learned the stuff in the Nation of Islam, he's like, oh, this is why I find myself, this is why our people find ourselves in this situation, and it kind of answered his own type of way of moving. So right there, that was already the spiritual connection to what needed to be done for Black liberation. And I think from that point forward, Malcolm definitely tied all his type of ideas related to that. Even the idea of like forgiveness and working with other folks, right? Even like going down to Selma, Mississippi when, Alabama, my bad. And going down there when Martin King was in prison and then speaking at the John, he's like, these people view me this way, but this can help the cause overall. And I think Malcolm was just very much clear about what that meant, not only for his own threat to his life, but his spiritual grounding about what needed to be done.
Yeah, thank you for that. Jasmine, did you want to add anything to that?
I think I sort of touched on the connection between spirituality and liberation in my last thing, but I do agree with Ish that I don't think that Malcolm was interested in separating them. I think that he saw those two things coalesce together. I think that there are instances where it can feel separate. And when it feels separate, like if you're in a space and you feel that you cannot talk about Black Lives Matter, or you can't talk about police brutality in the church home that you're in, or with folks that are quote unquote religious, I feel like they are more so limited in their understanding of religion than it's not that our yearning for freedom needs to be added into religion. It should already be there. Because the purpose of religion, right, is to free ourselves of the treacherous nature of the world, right? And what is more treacherous, right, than institutional racism? What is more treacherous than lynchings, right? So I think that if a person's religion is limiting their understanding of the fight for freedom, there's something wrong with their religion, or the way that they're interpreting their religion. It's that they've subtracted. It's not that something needs to be added. I think that from the beginning, if Jesus was here, if we were able to ask him, he would be thinking about the liberation of others. All the moments in which he had fought for folks' freedom and liberation in the Bible, all of the instances of that. If we were to talk to any of these deities, freedom probably will be on the forefront of their mind. So it really is the human. It is the human aspect that is eliminated freedom from religion. It should already be there.
Can I veggie back off of that idea too? That's brilliant because like, yeah, I don't eat pork, so all that. But when we think about even just the foundation of like, and this goes back to that Urugu thing, right? And the white God image. If you look at all major religions, they kind of have similar themes like sacrifice, the ability to treat others the way you want to be treated. Like there's a constant, and if folks actually believed and actually did and practiced those things, exactly, the world would be a better place.
Exactly.
But they get caught up in this nonsense. So like, and that's why, and I don't want to go too heavy on this, but there's some spiritual warfare going down. And we have to be honest, and I think Malcolm recognized that in his life, and folks who are actually attuned, who don't get caught up in the dogma of what it should be or what it looks like or what people define it in which their own traditions have told them, you can see those through lines You know what I mean? That's why when you meet folks of different orientations, they're like, oh, snap, like there's an immediate connection because the connection isn't based off of, oh, you're not like me and therefore you don't believe the same thing as I. It's more of like there is one God. We all are all connected. We're all into this together. And I think that, you know, unfortunately, I don't think there's as many of us as there needs to be at this point. But I believe that we are kind of like in the midst of that kind of culmination of humanity, of like, are we going to make the right decisions collectively with one another? Or are we just more concerned with, you know, our own individual kind of accumulation of, as this John Burns? And you know, that's coming to a head. So like when I think if Malcolm was here nowadays, what would that man be talking about? You know, seeing what's happening in Iran, seeing what's happening with the vote, you know, the Voting Rights Act with the Supreme Court, seeing what's happening to our children if you take the subway in Philadelphia. It goes from that micro to that macro, and they all are interconnected. So, Jazz, I just want to say I appreciate you even bring that up, like that it's outside of this and that how those things are used as tools to make sure that we're not actually having those real dialogues, even if at the end of the day, we don't necessarily reach the same conclusion about what we think it is all about. But ultimately, we do.
Word. Oh, okay. So I just wanted to jump back in real quick to. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, sorry. I just wanted to jump back in to say that in a minute or two, we should start transitioning into the groups. So I wanted to give everyone some moments to finish up their final thoughts, and then I wanted to talk about the groups that we got to split into.
No doubt. So that I think like this question, I don't know if we have time for another one after this, but this is an important one because, again, like Malcolm, I think of Malcolm with the colonizer continues to do and have done is try to eliminate anything that that goes against their rule, their domination, right? Anything that symbolizes that, you know, so past or present. And Malcolm, I think, is one of those people. And even if we know Malcolm as an individual that existed, they may try to negate many of his ideas, what he stood for, and some of the things that he done if they feel as though it goes against what they believe, right? Their goals and objectives. The Pequots, for example, during the Pequot War, when this 1637, so
Take people to school.
They committed a genocide against the Pequot Native Americans, and one of the things that they did afterwards was to erase them from any sort of record. They wanted to be as if they never existed, right? And this is something that the colonizer does. So I kind of want us to, or for you guys to maybe just like speak to why Malcolm is important, right? What people need to know about Malcolm, what he stood for, and it might be, I guess the brief version, how it connects to what he stood for, what he was fighting for, his ideas, how it connects to what's going on today. Because Malcolm spoke against Zionism, you know, in the 60s, right? He defined the relationship of African people to America as colonialism, right? And African people aren't the only people that's colonizing this country, right? So everybody needs to recognize that relationship. But he spoke to these things. He spoke about Pan-Africanism, the importance of that. So if y'all can, you know, speak to that. And one last thought I had, I just want to bring it back to this because it's been on my mind when we mentioned Malcolm wanted to kill all white people. And I just have to say this because it makes me think of Iran. You brought up Iran and how they just keep feeding us with this idea that Iran wants to get a nuclear weapon and kill all Americans.
I mean,
They want to kill all of us. Like, just think about that. You know, that's not. It's insane, and people believe that. Just rationally speaking, if they were even to attack America with a nuclear weapon, America will wipe them off the map. Like it's like committing suicide. They want us to think that these people are not like rational, reasonable people. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
Well, first I gotta say, Iran had a stamp of Malcolm before the United States had a stamp of Malcolm, right?
That's a connection.
I just gotta say that. And also, it's what you just described. When you start reading Malcolm, when you actually start learning, students used to say this to me all the time. Well, why don't they have a Malcolm X Day? I was like, they will never let them have a Malcolm X Day. What kind of nonsense is that? And that's why I get extremely upset. Obama used to, when he was a president, had a shirt of Obama, King, and Malcolm X. I was like, that is straight up offensive. Because if you actually knew what Malcolm is, you would know that that's not part of that whole thing right there. If anything, he would be critiquing his role of head of empire. And see, like, that's what's crazy about it. America co-ops. Not only erases, but co-ops and then sells it off as its own. And just to bring King back into it, I mean, like, the fact that kids walk around and, like, think King's soft, like, King put his life on the line, man. And same thing with Malcolm. And they actually, and that's why James Cone's book, and I strongly suggest that book, they reached the same conclusion kind of at the end, where Malcolm had to learn that not all white people were evil, and Martin Luther King had to learn that more than he thought were, while at the same time recognizing that that is connected to the international reality and how the world is organized. And I think that's the power. That's why when you learn about Malcolm, and Jazz even pointed it out, like, how many people I've met in my life that said, yeah, I read Malcolm X and da-da-da, and that changed the way I look at the world. Like, that's crazy work right there, man. And I don't think there's very few people we can point to that has that much impact on how much has maintained a sense of radical humanity in this world, not just America, because if you go across the seas, they holding up Malcolm X posters too, you know what I mean? Like, I remember being in Zanzibar, of all places, that's halfway across the world, and the person's like, oh, Malcolm X, you know what I mean? Like, that is something much larger than we could even imagine, because that spirit, again, travels. But we're traveling in that spiritual warfare, and he's able to give us the tools necessary, the intellectual prowess needed to actually stand and teach our children to make sure that we're continuing on that legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Jasmine, did you?
Yeah, I got so I will say that after that, honestly, I want to continue this conversation, but we definitely got to do our activity right after this. So then we're going to split into our activity. So right after I give my little piece, I'm going to probably jump right into that. But Ish, I agree with everything you just said. And one of the things that I think sticks with me the most about like who Malcolm is he was somebody who was not satisfied with just the bare minimum. And I think that he reminds me to not be satisfied with half-hearted nature of neoliberalism, to know that liberation is possible and to continue to keep fighting. So even just like the cliche saying of by any means necessary, there's so much like within that statement, but how many times has something happened to you and you have just rolled over and just took it instead of fighting for what you know you deserve? And then when you turn around and think and count all the times, like I would need 10 hands to count how many times that happened to me. But when I look at Malcolm's journey, the amount of times that he let stuff go by without really standing up for it, the number got lower and lower and lower as he got more politicized. Like, so I think that he really is teaching us how to not be satisfied. We should not be satisfied with the state of the world right now. We should not be satisfied. And even if, let's say, we get a tax break, or let's say we get a new school that opens in Philly or whatever, they're about to close 20 schools. Let's say they close 15 instead of 20. We should not be satisfied until we get what we deserve. You know, so that's the one thing that when somebody asks me, what has Malcolm taught you really? That's like my major thing. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful that we had this conversation. And I think that we should just give, especially Ish and our guest, a hand for just an excellent conversation. I mean, And all the books you mentioned, I gotta add them to my list because I'm obviously not well read enough, and I need to get up on my game. I wanted to draw your attention to the quotes that we mentioned that were on the board. We actually have 4 different quotes. I'm gonna share my screen for the folks that are watching via YouTube Live. So we have a couple quotes. There's going to be 4. You guys are going to be free to find any of the groups on the wall and join it. There should be some Sharpies right near those pads so that you can write out your thoughts. And then hopefully these conversations that we have while we're in our groups can spread to downstairs when we're breaking bread together. But we have a couple quotes specifically from Al Muslimun magazine, which contains the survey questions that Malcolm answered right before he was assassinated. So these are really, really special thoughts that Malcolm was able to share right before he had transitioned to an ancestor. So we have a couple quotes from there. And then, of course, we got a quote from Ballad of the Bullet, which is going to be group 3, you know, one of his most prominent speeches, one of his most prominent call to actions for folks, especially for churches, which is very telling for, you know, why we wanted to incorporate it here as we're considering spirit guiding our freedom. What is it that the churches are supposed to be doing? What is it that religion is supposed to be leading us to, right? So if you guys could split up, find a group, find one of those notepads that's on the wall, split up, have some discussion. We're gonna have like 10 minutes of discussion, and then we're gonna bring it back after everybody is all done. So for all the folks that are on YouTube Live too, I'll have the quotes on here as well.
Pan-African is about expanding focus Black people across the world and having them expand their focus to us. So what parts of that I think that being able to like find an international perspective as he was like leaving this beautiful mountain in Hawaii, maybe, just come home, come back home, let it go. Then in the sense of God that his journey to connect to Allah. Because in his mind, in the Quran, that Allah guided and it's like I feel like the understanding of Pan African across the world, this kind of shows the importance of that, but more calling that at the time. Black nationalism. So it's also because this got me thinking. I've talked to a lot of people about this. I listen to this college and it made me stop going to school. I changed my perspective of the purpose of religion. But I feel like if the religion is not serving, what is it for? And when you think about who's supposed to be in heaven, like the ones that are supposed to why must be I don't so that I mean it caused me to really but when I seen this, you know what? I think the five churches hard to do. That's why we have to prevent situations like this. Because when you read the book, it says, but when you go to a church and you see that the pastor of that church has a philosophy and a program that's designed to bring Black people together and elevate Black people, and Black people, if you see where the NAACP is preaching, doing that one, right, to make Black actualization of us like self-determination. Not just Black Wall Street. whatever. It's crazy. So I really like the part that says otherwise, and that's thinking black and maybe framing the like making sure that everybody has like more people.
Hey y'all, 2-minute warning on the groups. Gotta wrap up some of your conversations in a couple minutes.
That's like in everything nowadays. Like, afraid, especially now. A lot of people feel like a lot of that's like, it goes back to say like, dude, there's a lot of people are like wanting like they wouldn't say like, oh, I'm like yeah, I feel like them, I feel like a lot of things like thinking that
Peace. Do we want to come back and discuss? Come back and discuss? It's 401. All right. Thank you, everyone, for engaging in this activity. We want to come back and discuss as a collective. Appreciate all your hard work. Was there a designated writer? Shout out to all my designated writers for your labor. Appreciate y'all. Y'all see how I be recognizing people, you know, I recognize the workers. Recognize the worker. What's up, Ish? You gonna lead this discussion? You might as well, man. You might. I'm gonna go right to you. All right. So, Jazz, you wanna
Yeah.
lead us up in this?
Yeah. So for the groups, I hope you guys had some fruitful conversations. For each group, if y'all can have like at least one representative kind of bring back a major takeaway for what y'all talked about when y'all saw the quote. And we can just go through 1 through 4. So group 1, who wants to start?
Hello.
Hey.
Okay. So ours was with the Muslim mosque, we're teaching our people a better way of life. And with the OAAU, we are fighting on an even broader level for complete respect and recognition as human beings for all Black Americans, and we are ready and willing to use any means necessary to see that this goal is reached. From Al Muslimun magazine in 1965. So we talked a lot about like life and death, like that there is a call to to make great sacrifice if needed, including giving our lives. But that also led us to talking about like Black and poor people's right to gather for life and for joy and for celebration, and to fight for spaces to celebrate and to live, and fight against like the ideas that say that, you know, you shouldn't buy birthday cake with the EBT card, or you shouldn't buy Halloween candy with the EBT card, or you shouldn't have a garden and PHA housing, like just things like that. Like, we should fight for those quote unquote little things, because it's Western society that says that those things are like extras when they're not extras for Black people. Like, those are life-giving sources of celebration, and I think that there's a lot of envy from upper classes and from other cultures that have lost those that importance of gathering and being able to gather without status and without you know, we say comparison. We were saying like comparison and like status games. And so, yeah, yes, the ultimate sacrifice, but also we need to fight for the right to gather for joy and life and care. And like with things like schools closing and churches closing and being turned into apartments and things like that, we need to see that also as something where we need spaces to live and to learn and to celebrate with each other and to like do that all the time, and not just be toiling against, you know, a society that doesn't even care for humanity and human being. So I guess we were talking about like the recognition of us as human beings and respect, and also like the sacrifice at the same time.
Word.
Any other group? Nick's
You
up.
want to go?
What was that, Jeff?
Does group 2 want to go? Where's group 2?
Okay.
Hi, my name is Joe, and I'm new here. I like what's taking place. But what I wanted to say is, I understand what you was talking about. I concur. But I think we need more unity in everything, not only for the Blacks, but for all races. You know what I mean? If we get unity together, we could stop them from taking this stuff from the schools away and building condominiums and stuff like that there, because we have a lot of poor people in our neighborhoods that we need to build up. But if we don't stick together, then they're gonna keep doing what they're doing, taking from us. They're pushing us away. They make sure we don't have nothing. And there's enough money out here for all of us to live right. They just giving it away to other things. And I don't think that's fair. So this is part of your group here, which y'all doing is right, but we need to speak out on all things so we can unify, you know what I mean? And, you know, what did I say, by any means necessary, unify your people to do what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Because if enough of us out here to unify and stop the madness. You know what I mean? But I don't know nothing. I'm just trying to learn.
No, appreciate that, and I think everybody here would agree with you. I think African people in America have historically worked to unify everyone. That's been something we've always done, and I think the struggle has been to get other people to see the humanity in African and Black people, right? Because it's other people who've always historically pushed Black people to the margins. And if you look at even like Kwame Ture, for instance, when he talked about civil rights, those rights, he said the civil rights wasn't for Black people, like those were for white people. He's like, we knew we had the rights. He was like, we had to tell white people we had these rights. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're ready.
So, in our group, we're group 4, but like just as a side bit, when we were talking about some of the ideas, I related some of it to Audre Lorde's quote, you can't dismantle master's house using master's tools, right? And so when we even talk about, well, what's a house built upon? A house is built upon a foundation. What's the foundation of the house that we're living in? Right, so you can tear that house down, you can burn it to the ground, you can use any tool that was used to build that house and build up a new John, but you still have the foundation there. And what's that foundation built out of? That's racialized exploitation and a genocide of indigenous folks. And so like them bones, them spirits will still be there, and we haven't reconciled that. So, but at that very foundation of racialized exploitation is anti-blackness. So like that is what needs to be rooted out, that's what needs to be addressed, that what really, as long as that exists, whatever house we built on that foundation will create the same situation. So like, I just think about these ideas of like, what does it actually mean to be free, right? And ultimately, that is a luxury for some people to even have the time and the space to even think about. But then, does that give us more responsibility if you do? So just.
Yeah.
Like a question that has been resonating. That was something that we were talking about in group one, because a question that's been resonating for me in particular, and kind of what we were thinking about in our own humanity, is like, what does it mean to imagine our own humanity when we recognize that the freedom from oppression is the floor? The freedom from oppression is the baseline of expectations. So if we're imagining systems of care, like ways that we can actually live, thrive, connect together, freedom from oppression shouldn't even be part of the conversation. That should just be the expectation. What does it actually look like for us to be together, to collectively liberate ourselves and to embody that kind of freedom when we're not even thinking about that?
I kind of want to piggyback on what Alea just said. James and I on Zoom, we were looking at Group 3's quote, because I told you guys I loved Battle of the Bullet, and they have this part at the end that says that the church needs to be based on lifting the Black man up and making him master of his own community. What does self-actualization really look like beyond freedom? Self-actualization and self-determination beyond freedom. Yeah, you will be free, but where is your food coming from? Who is training you so that you can help your community? Who is educating you? The education that you're receiving, is it complete? Are you actually being educated in a way that fulfills your needs? Are you able to not just like have access to food, but grow your own food? Are you able to share with folks how to grow their own food? Are you able to learn about how to heal your body and heal others' bodies? Are we really being trained up to be masters of our own community? And if the institutions aren't doing the training, who's going to do it? It has to be us. Like, so even just starting like within yourself, like how are you making yourself a master of your own community, and how are you expanding that out to others? We have so many people just in this room now that are masters in their craft, experts in their craft, and they spend time teaching others, right? Even conversations like this elevate folks way beyond what some of the stuff that they're doing in schools are, way beyond what they're doing in the classroom, right? So being masters of your own community, really achieving self-determination for Blackness, for Black folk. And like the brother said earlier, for all folks, we know that Black folks are at the front of everyone's fight. Look at Fred Hampton and how he advocated for the Rainbow Coalition. Look at how Black folk were coming out to stop the stadium from being built in Chinatown, right? We are at the front of everyone's fight. Who's at the front of ours, right? So yeah, it is really important to make sure that we're doing stuff to unify everybody. But self-actualization and self-determination of Black people will literally help everybody. Black liberation actually will free everybody, actually, because we are the bottom of the bottom. We are the ones that are oppressed the most. And if the one who is oppressed the most is free, what are the possibilities for everyone else, right?
That was fantastic, and I just want to say thank you. Yeah, this is Group 2. This is my first time here, so I appreciate y'all for...
Welcome!
And I want to kind of keep the theme of imagination going. So let me read the quote and we'll get into it. So it says, I have traveled to the Middle East and Africa twice since leaving Elijah Muhammad in March of 1964, mainly to get a better understanding of Islam, and the African countries, and in turn, to give the Muslim world a better understanding of problems facing those of us here in America who are trying to become Muslims. Also in Africa, to give our people there a better understanding of the problems confronting Black Americans and our struggle for human rights. Same issue of Al-Muslimun. And so, while we were kind of talking through this, I think imagination, right, is like the most important thing that we were really pulling out of here, right? One was, of course, right, the absolute disconnections that have happened across history, related to the slave trade and imperialism imposed both on Africa, right, and those kidnapped and brought here to the Americas as part of this genocidal mission, right? And we were kind of talking about how Malcolm's ideas, right, of trying to bring, he's left the Nation of Islam at this point, and it's kind of acting as this bridge, right, bringing, the struggle of Black Americans that we're talking about here today, right, back to the continent, right, and trying to envision connections in new ways and trying to bring the struggle to where it actually really is, right? And I think another part of that, right, which, we were kind of talking about with Group 1 is kind of like the really insane facades that get kind of thrown up. And we brought up neoliberalism earlier, so I'm just going to use that, right? I think it was you, right? Someone. Oh, Jazz, who brought up neoliberalism, right? And this idea, right, that like we can just reform something, that was what we were just getting to, right? That we were building on these foundations and, if we just reform it, right, that it'll work out in the end, right? And I think at the end of the day, what we're seeing here is that the imagination is not going to happen here, like in the core, right? It's not going to happen just because we feel like it one day, or we're going to randomly understand, this way that we can reproduce capitalism in some way that's not going to oppress all of us in some way. And I think what we're seeing here, right, is that Malcolm is trying to, really bring these struggles out and across, right? Because America is not going to be the center of this revolution in any sense of the word, right? It is the imagination at the end of the day, not of white folks, right, but of Black folks, of people who are oppressed, who are going to envision something better.
Right.
Thank you for that. We have one more response from Group 1, and if anyone from Group 3.
This kind of ties in with what they were saying, and something that I wanted to bring to light. We were talking about unity in the ways of remembering our ancestral histories globally, of all peoples, and in this example, we're talking about like gender diversity in particular, and that's just one way that we can remember like where we all come from, and remember like things to celebrate about ourselves, and kind of being able to remember what colonialism tried to erase from all of us. So I don't know. I think that there is a both and, like being able to, for Black people to be at the forefront of our own joy and our own self-determination, but for all of us to do the work to remember our ancestral histories, of the ways that we are fully human, globally. I think that is a way that we could, focus on unity and solidarity.
Ashe. Anyone from Group 3? And a quick add-on. And I know you weren't saying this, but just for a point of clarification, like under colonial capitalism, everyone is oppressed. The working class, right? But there's different positions that people have in that society, and we need to recognize the privileges. As a Black man, I have some privileges that a Black woman doesn't have, and et cetera, right? So just recognizing those privileges. Group 3? And all right.
I'll give this a try. What we started out, and our whole focus from this Group 3 but when you go to church, you see a pastor of that church with philosophy, and the whole idea is to join something, to do something that pushes you in the way of national liberation and self-determination. It becomes a collective endeavor. It becomes an endeavor of all of us pushing together towards one purpose. And if it's national liberation, it will liberate us. It will aid us in providing food, clothing, and shelter, and things that will liberate us, that will help the people that you're fighting for. Discerning in the organization, making Black nationalism materialize, making Black nationalism, national liberation, a collective endeavor, unity and purpose. You can't grow in isolation. The coming together of the community as one fist, one purpose, one path. Both the spiritual and material fruits of the community, this brings it together as a whole and brings about self-determination. We are getting things for ourselves to help ourselves. We are becoming, like he said, the master of our own community.
Thank you, thank you. And I think we have one more. Anyone from Group 4 want to represent? There we go.
As a Black American, I do feel that my first responsibility is to my 22 million fellow Black Americans who suffer the same indignities because of the color as I do, because of the same color as I do. I don't believe my own personal problem is ever solved until the problem is solved for all 22 million of us. Much to my dismay, until now, the Muslim world has seemed to ignore the problem of Black American, and most Muslims who come here from the Muslim world have concentrated more effort in trying to convert white Americans and Black Americans. I'm going to piggyback off of Group 3, and the collective liberation is what we talked about, and accountability, and no one is free until we're all free. And also how Black liberation has to be an embodied experience, right? And that so many movements that like I guess the juxtaposition between civil rights and Black liberation, and that Black liberation is in, like, we know our freedom and our path forward, and how are we showing up as movers in our communities? How can we embody that practice versus it being an intellectualized concept, right? And how it's taught in academia, and how it's being moved forward in academia as this something that's more sensationalized, something that lives up here versus in a body, and then that affects how we show up within our household and within our community. So it has to be something that we're not only talking about, something that we're not only conveying in words, but something that we're actually moving forward through our feet, through our body, through our hands, yeah, and our households.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you everybody so much for your participation, for your thoughts, your insight. It is really vitally important at Church of the Revolution that we recognize our own power, right? And when we come together and are able to put our thoughts together, we are doing the work of actually actualizing those things, of unifying our purpose and unifying the ways that we move forward. So thank you so much for this sermon that we just put together. Look at that. Alrighty, we are gonna start wrapping up. Jazz, is there any way that you could put up that last slide?
Sure can. Let me.
Thank you so much. As I'm thanking you all again for the work that we do here today. If you have any interest in getting involved here at Church of the Revolution, we meet every first Sunday and we organize through ministries. Currently we have our education ministry who puts together the content that we go through, which shout out to the education ministry headed up by Kemba, which also reminds me, can we also give a round of applause to Jazz, Akemba, and Ish for that amazing, amazing discussion. Oh my gosh, yes, almost forgot. Agree? Yes, and to our artist, Yane, holding it down. Oh my gosh, she did that thing. And performances like that and the ones that we hold every Sunday are headed up by our creative ministry. If you're in creative, like my friend Eric, who's been holding it down, plucking away, giving us the vibes today, and DJ AV, who will be getting our tunes during fellowship a little bit later. We also have our outreach ministry, which reaches out to folks like you, folks in different organizations, and helps us collectively organize in the work that we're doing. Our community health ministry, which is all about democratizing healthcare, because we keep us safe, right? And when we're better able to care for ourselves, for each other, and our communities, that is an exponentially liberating force. Our accessibility ministry, which ensures that we are able to reach people who are differently abled, ensuring that we have post descriptions, are doing outreach to folks that have different accessibility needs, and then our resource ministry, which helps us manage all of the pieces that keep this thing going. If you have any interest, feel free to tap in. If you're a Church of the Revolution member, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Yay. Yeah, you can say hello to those folks. Hello. And then you can get in touch with us to see how you might be able to tap in and join. Thank you so much again for your participation. Without further ado, though, if you want to head downstairs, there's an awesome artist bazaar. There's some really awesome food. All right, you guys can continue your conversations and connections. Oh, Jazz, what's up?
I got an announcement about the flower sale. Community
Oh,
Health
yes.
is selling flowers, beautiful canna lilies that you can plant outside in your garden. They're already starting to bloom now. We're selling them 1 for $12, 2 for $20. All proceeds will benefit future community health events like our wonderful nutrition workshop that we had, and like our meet and greet that we had. We want to have another one of those. We want to start up a book club. There's lots of things we want to do. So we need your help and support. So please buy a flower. April showers bring May flowers. And it's the perfect time to plant flowers in your garden.
Yeah, so myself and Ish are part of the Claim Malcolm X Day committee that organizes the Malcolm X Day Festival at Malcolm X Park every year. So this year is the 11th annual Claim Malcolm X Day Festival. Which is going to be on Saturday. I think the date is May 16th or 17th. I think it's the 16th though, May 16th, which is a Saturday. So make sure you come, spread the word, come out to that. And you can follow CMXD, which is Claim Malcolm X Day, on all platforms just to get updates. Yeah, and if anybody vends, you got room for vendors too for that day if you want to be a vendor.
Thank you. Oh, are those, okay, cool. Yeah, definitely want to keep this conversation going, and now that we're all so much more informed about him, we can go and continue honoring and learning about his legacy at that day. So, can make your way down the stairs if you need help, ask for help. There are a lot of really helpful people around, but thank you so much for joining us. All right, we'll catch you guys later. All right, go nourish yourselves. Thank you so much. E. Delaney. Bro, we gonna have to figure out a, quartet or something.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be it?
That's been in my mind for a while.
Yeah. Which one of these things is gonna open for me? Oh, there we go. Thank you. I guess I just needed, I'm not gonna say that in a church. Ooh. Light goes on. Oh, do I turn this off now? I'll let you on A, because that's the computer.
Yeah, right.
I'm put away the microphones, and I'm gonna call about the business that I need to mind.
That's it. Yeah, same here. I'm about to go eat the food. That's my next business.
I probably need to head out of here by like 5:30-ish.
I'm ready to go when you are, Queen. Let me know, alright?
Where are you heading after this? Where? Yeah. I'm trying to figure that out now. Okay. Okay. I know I just start probably like 5:30. So if you're heading anywhere, you need to ride.
I could definitely use one. I'm also taking a bus. If you just throw me off in Summer City, I'll just tell people and I'll be
No problem. Yeah, because I gotta actually head out to the west because Matt has equipment that I need for a job on Wednesday. So I gotta go see
You're
him.
not gonna land home right away.
Yeah, that's why I gotta get out and like
That makes sense.
yeah.
Cool.
So, but essentially, oh, and there is already no more of a. Hi, honey. Hi. It's so funny because I know the camera's here, but I be looking for my face. Hi. Now I'm just. No, I think she hopped. Can you do hop on over as well? Can you hop on over as well?
Say it again?
Can you hop on over the bus?
Oh, I think it was like.
What do you look at? I went on monitor, but I'm not sure. That's okay. We always try to plug up desserts themselves, so and we also have a like so like email, so if you have an email address, we send out email reminders. Is there anything that we have? I see the ants. Yeah. That's okay. Can I borrow your home camera and then you fill out the information?
This mic, and then find a good place for it to chill. Or what do you, all right, what do you want? So if you feel like, you know, it could be cool to do a walk around and then for it to sit somewhere. And can we do this? We'll see if that's where you want it to go. Then you'll walk around and put it there. Or how? Oh. I understand the camera vision. Yeah. No. Trying to think like. Not bad, right? You envision. It's too big for our cat vision. That's not bad, right? No, it's just showing what's going on. Yeah. All right. Okay, but because it can't be on their books though, they might be trying to, sell them or. It's still good. Or however long you wanna record it. It's streaming live. Okay. I'm gonna just check. I gotta get something to eat. Alright. So how do you want that? Well, and then the camera, how is that going? How do I have to hold this? I gotta. Yeah, this is where the camera is. So that has to face you, what you're gonna show. But I'm not gonna be able to see it. Like if I turn it around, I can't see what I'm shooting. No, you have to hold it like sideways. What that look like? I don't know. Okay.
Yes.
Alright, guide mommy. Okay, see there, guide her. You just gonna go. Like that. Yeah. Can't see it.
So, and started it in the lockdown and then like slowly double, probably, this one's not picking up.
You gotta be behind me. Ah. You gotta get behind me.
Not even on the cell.
I can't get behind you. Yeah, thank you, yeah. I want, oh, God. Oh, my.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. Also started. Want to give a big shout out and thank you to DJ. Thank you, DJ. Y'all, we are creators.
The diamonds come from me and you. In the middle of the sun shining down. Oh, I feel high. I love you now. People walking by, trying to find their way. What's wrong? Maybe it's mine. Everybody on me. Only true love can set me free. Yeah, love will keep me. Don't let this love. I don't know. No. Okay. Yeah, that was fine. Okay, so this is gonna work for me until the wind blows. Then it'll be, back on. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I need more or in my apartment.
Thank you so much to everyone, particularly the artists, but everyone who made it out today. Thank you for those who came and brought their talent to band to support a great cause. We do have to vacate the building kind of soon at speak. So maybe just take a couple more minutes to wrap up any final sales, make some connections, make sure y'all are getting, your information out there. I will be around to collect any donations that, vendors are, giving out of, their proceeds. And as far as like tables and chairs, I'll take care of them. So, yeah. Thank you again, everyone, and yeah. Thank you, everyone. Again, just a reminder, we do have to vacate the building pretty soon. If you have donations that you would like to forward over, you can come and find me. I'll be over here. I'll also send out a link to on the email chain that all of the artists received the information on, and that will also have a donation link where you can send funds to. So thanks y'all again. The indications when love gets anxious, when the love again it's tearing my heart. Oh, and then that all right. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Hope y'all enjoyed the set. I'm guessing y'all enjoyed the set, right? Cool. Yeah, if y'all, I'm DJ Z. I think, oh wait, I do got something up promoted. So I got a party on Friday. It's a day party. I'm at Penn Ridge Station, if y'all know about that, you know. Yeah, I'm doing a jungle joint. It's some R&B soul and all that jazz. Oh, reggae, yeah. If y'all free that Friday, 5 on through the day for you at Penn Ridge Station. And also, I am DJing tomorrow. I know it's a Monday, whatever. It is what it is. But I am DJing on Monday at Bob's Bar. DJ with my queer friends this time. So slide on through for a little sip and sip from 8 to 12. So yeah, that's me. I'm DJ V over and out, whatever. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Oh, thank you, sure. All right, but I'm waiting for. I did not know the cook.
You. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh.
So sorry, I'm so sorry. Myself off. Your right hand.
What's your name? Keith, Keith. All right, back to it. Hey, absolutely. Much respect. We're very serious.
Yeah, fire. Use ball tables. Anybody know what we do in ball tables?
So they're gonna figure it out. If you ain't taking the tables. Hey, check out your inmate changes.
Oh, you want to check them out?
I know, right? They ain't like gonna look at it. Oh, you want something? Like, oh, yeah, what's my telephone? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I feel you. Like, oh, is this shit still on? My people. Like James. Don't worry, you want to.
What the hell?
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Everybody want to see, and also go to.
Every time I hear something about this, I never think. Every time I hear something about this song, it sounds like it was something. Sounds like oh, no, installation.
Wait, that ass. I stay there right. Wonderful. Right. Yeah, toys are out.
That's so much. That's like, wait, they still have toys for us. You guys have that? I thought they were not.
They're still good.
I guess Toys R Us is the American.
Like, I got some like, wow, it's first there. I saw the Amazon.